Check out these bikes we just picked up. Just picked up the pair for 500 bucks. This one is a 2007 Yamaha TTR125. This one is 2003. So same model, different year. This one was supposedly rebuilt not too long ago. The seller said he was riding it down the road. It locked up, would not start back up. He never dug into it to see what was wrong with it. This one, the seller said, was running a couple years ago, and right now it does not start. So I'm hoping that one's just a carb clean. This one was 200, this one was 300. So this one was probably the better deal, but package deal of 500 bucks for the pair. I mean, you can't beat that. So today we're gonna dig into these bikes, see what's going on, and hopefully by the end of the video we can get one at least running and driving. I'm hoping this one has a simple issue too. Maybe something in the clutch area came loose and locked up the engine. You know, maybe a bolt came loose after rebuilding it. You never know. So let's get these off the trailer, start digging into them. Alright, let's do a little walk around of each bike. This one's missing the chain. I believe he did include a new sprocket and chain kit with it. But look at that. How is it that bad? Wow. The sprocket's basically nothing. Oh, look at the rear too. I don't think I've ever seen sprockets that bad before. I mean, you'd have to ride that thing for a long time, that bad. Pipe's got a nice weld on it. Looks like that broke off at one point. Missing the side cover. This one has the key, at least. Looks like maybe that side cover's missing too. Tire was studded at one point. A couple studs in there. Yeah, that one's definitely in better shape than this one over here. Missing the ignition. Looks like it was just cut right off. Ignition's all like ripped apart in there. Looks like somebody was trying to hot wire it at one point. Choke is on there. Clutch lever pulls in. Ooh. There's no way this thing was rebuilt. Throttle doesn't even move. He said this thing was running and driving a couple weeks ago. No way. Batteries out of it. Yeah, there's like spider nests in there. This thing is pretty beat on. And now that I look at it, I'm not seeing any new gaskets on here at all. You guys see any newer gaskets? But this one is not kicking over. Oh yeah, she's locked up tight. Let's check this one out. Maybe she'll fire up. Well, that one doesn't want to fire at all. It does kick over. Feels like it's kind of low on compression. But yeah, that's the pair of bikes we're dealing with today. I think we're going to start with the most difficult one. I'm kind of interested to see what's going on with that engine. So, let's start with this one and work our way to that one over there. I think that one's just going to be like a carb clean, new battery, stuff like that. This one is going to be a little bit more challenging, so let's start with that one. Alright, let's start working on the locked up TTR125, the 2007. So checking the VIN just to make sure it is a 2007. Come down here, you count 10 digits back, and you can see the 7 right there. That means it's a 2007. Alright, Let's see what's going on. Looks pretty clear. So we're not going to screw the cap in. Just going to dip it in like that. The bike is tilted over a little bit. It just starts showing up on the dipstick. Oh, it's about halfway up. So there's oil in it. It looks really clear. So we'll probably drain that later. See if there's any flakes in there. Might give us a good idea of what's going on. But like I said, the throttle is completely locked up. I really don't know how the seller drove this bike a couple weeks ago if the throttle was locked up, unless it became locked up in like a week. And then the ignition being cut out of it's kind of weird as well. Not really liking that. Is the choke locked up? Nope, that's free. So let's get the seat off, take a look at the air filter, make sure there's one in there, and then we'll start digging into this thing. Sand coming off. Don't think that was on the right way. That was on backwards. That was supposed to go that way. And check that out. You're telling me they just rebuilt this thing and put that air filter back in? That's like disintegrating. That's horrible. Oh, there's like a bunch of leaves in there and stuff. And I mean, there is a screen protecting it, but yeah, that looks completely filthy. All right, taking a look at the plug here. What the heck? It just ripped out the spark plug. Spark plug looks pretty white too. Was this thing ever running, or was it running really, really lean? Why did that just rip out of the spark plug hole? Oh, it's all stripped out in there. Well, that's awesome. Maybe that's why this bike blew up. The spark plug is just stripped right out. So you try screwing this in. Doesn't grab at all. Oh, there it grabs a little bit. There it's grabbing, but I mean, it's basically stripped right out. There's maybe one thread left on there. So I wonder if that's what happened. It was sucking in air through there. Or I guess it would be blowing out air. But yeah, so that needs to be fixed. That's really bad. You can just put the whole spark plug in and pull it right out. And that's extremely white, so like I said, either it wasn't running or it's really, really lean. It's not looking too good. Yeah, valve is like opening in there. You guys see that right there? See that thing coming through? That's a valve. But maybe it just got stuck when the valve was opening on this engine. Yeah, she's pretty locked up. Well, we're off to a bad start here. I think what we're gonna do next is take off the flywheel cover and try to rotate the engine by hand. See if it frees up at all. You know what's really weird too? There's no chain on this bike either. So I don't know if the guy robbed him off to use for a different bike or what. But this one and the other bike both don't have chains. Let's see what's behind here. It's coming off. Oil's coming out of it. It's held on by something. Ooh, doesn't look too good in there. Looks like this has been sitting like this for a long time, because I think water got in there and rusted this out. Look at the sprocket too, it's all rusty. But that flywheel hasn't been in oil for a very long time, so I think this machine's been locked up for a long time, not 2 weeks. But you never know. Alright, this thing is getting held up by the neutral wire. Alright, stator doesn't look horrible, but you can see there's some rust buildup on the top here from it sitting so long. Actually looks like there's some water droplets here. Maybe water was in there. So, let's see if this thing spins at all. Nope, doesn't go that way. Oh, she's locked up solid. That is not budging at all. Thing is tight, tight. Oh, there we go. Hey. Oh, I think it's locked up again. Oh, what the heck? Is the cam chain even moving? I can't tell. Got her free though. Let's see if the piston's moving when I do this. Feels like the cam chain's broken. Valves are moving in there. There we go. Full revolution there. Just broke some rust free here. Look at that. No way. Got this thing to free up. Well, what is going on here? Huh. You know what? I wonder if there was rust in the top end. Because that plug was really loose in there. I wonder if water pooled in there and got inside of there. And that's why this thing was locked up. There was a layer of rust that the piston had to get through. So I think what we're going to do is take our camera, look down there, and see if there's a bunch of rust buildup in there. I'm thinking that's what happened. Alright, we've got our camera hooked up here. Let's just take a peek in here and see what's going on. It's hard to see. Ooh, there's some... It looks like some rust right there. Coming through. Ooh, there's the top of the piston. Let's lower the piston down a little bit. There's definitely rust in there. So I think our theory is correct. I think there's just a heavy layer of rust that the rings had to go through, and that's why it was locked up. So let's just keep on putting oil down there. Free oil down there. Get that all lubed up in there. We'll come over and turn this thing over a couple more times. Wonder if we can hook up a battery to it and really crank her over. It's pretty smooth. All right, we're gonna try to hook up a battery to it. Right here is the positive, and where's negative? Right here. But before we do that, we have to figure out the ignition here. So, I believe the brown and the red have to be connected. All right, taking a look at the fuses here. They look to be good. We'll check those first. Alright, we should hear a beep if the fuse is good. We'll check the spare too. That one's good. That one's good. They're both good. Alright, let's hook up a battery. Positive. And negative is down here. Alright, because this thing is missing the key, we have to hot wire it. I believe the black and white, black is for a kill switch. Red and brown, I believe, have to be connected together. Let's just see if it sparks. Nope. Alright, red and brown are connected. Let's hit the start button. Nothing. There we go. Well, that worked. So you have to hold in the clutch for the electric start to work. Yeah, that's working good now. Spins over awesome now. Not locked up at all. Put some more Marvel mystery oil down there. Looks like it's blowing a little air out of the plug hole. I wish that wasn't stripped out. Let's see. Maybe one thread will catch here. Nothing's catching. Take off the O-ring here. Oh, that's stripped out pretty good. Well, now that it turns over, we can actually check for spark. Unfortunately, the hole on the head is too stripped out to get a compression gauge in there. The spark plug fits a little bit better than the compression gauge. I think the last thread grabs just a little bit. See, it grabs right there. So if we can put like a little Loctite on the plug and put that back in there and tighten that down, let that dry, I wonder if we can attempt to start it at least. Otherwise, we'll have to get like a repair kit for this, or tear it down and get a new head. We'll have to see. But it'd be interesting to see if it would actually fire up, you know. So let's put the stator back on and let's just see if we even have spark. We're gonna keep that on. I don't know if that's a twist off one or not. I don't think it is. All right. What do you guys think? I'm guessing probably not. Clutch in, here we go. Oh, good spark. Very consistent too, look at that. Really good spark. Let's see if the kill switch works. Kill switch works. Holding in the kill switch. No spark, releasing it. Good spark. So that's all working. All right, now we're gonna try to get that plug into the cylinder and Loctite that in, just for testing purposes. Obviously we're gonna tap that out and get like a fitting in there so that we can get this tightened up. But for now, I think if it grabs on that one thread, I've got a little glue in there, I think we have enough to grab and hold it in place with that Loctite. Clean it up in there. Clean off these threads. I wonder how the heck those threads get that chewed up. So the last couple threads are still there. See, the last couple are still in place. You guys can see them. We're gonna do a pretty heavy amount of it. We don't want it actually going on the plug tip here, so take a little bit of that off. Put that in. It's grabbing right there. We're just gonna let that sit for a little bit right there and dry. All right, while we're waiting for that plug to dry up here and harden up, let's get the carb out and go through that. We know that the slide is stuck. That's been out before. Oh, it might be a little tough. So if that slide is stuck, it's obviously not going to come out. We can try to put a little penetrating oil down there, put out a little bit. And then we're going to try to open this cap up and put some down it too. Oh, it came right out. Look at that. Now it's working. So I think it was just slightly stuck, probably from not being used for a while. A little penetrating oil did the trick. Now it's just held on by the choke. Let's see how bad the carb is. This will tell us how long it's been sitting. Guessing it's pretty bad. Oh boy. Ooh. Holy cow. Yeah, right. There's no way this thing was running 2 weeks ago. Maybe 2 years ago. That's rough. There's like tar in there. Huh. Look at that. That's yummy. Looks just like tar. Look at that. Take a look at the rest of it. Needle's completely stuck in there. Float doesn't move. Oh man, that's really bad. Main jet completely plugged up. Gunked up. Completely plugged. Try to get the pilot out. See how gunked up the pilot is. There we go. Yeah, I'd say that's completely plugged. Alright, here's the fuel screw. So it turns out we're at 1, 2, 3. 3 turns out on the fuel screw. Spring is stuck down there. Should be a little O-ring. And the washer there comes. Push right out of here. Nope. Have to use our punch here to get that out. This is what this punch looks like. You can buy these on Amazon. And basically all it does is you put pressure on it, it springs back really fast and usually gets these pins out pretty quick. Sometimes this one works better than that one. There we go. See, popping out here. It's a little sticky. Pin pops right out. But if you don't have that punch, you're never getting that pin out. Now, at least get our float out of here. Float feels good. The needle's completely stuck in there. There we go. Needle needs to be cleaned up. Pretty stuck in there. Alright, now under here, you can sometimes get this seat out, and there's an O-ring that gets really worn out. So this plate can come off. Like that. Then you want to get that whole seat out of here. There we go. See, there's the O-ring, and that one's shot. See how it just breaks apart? So that needs to be replaced. And look at the bottom of this. Bunch of gas on there. It's been solidified, so gas couldn't go through there at all. So yeah, the carb was a little rough. Let's take a peek right here. They're stripped out pretty good. Little spring popped out of it. So spring goes in there like that. There's either a diaphragm here. So let's see what that diaphragm feels like here. Don't want to rip it. There's the diaphragm. It's not too bad. And there's a little valve, see there? Right there. So the little diaphragm pushes that little ball valve. And allows air coming in through here. So now we can let this sit in the ultrasonic cleaner, get this thing cleaned up, and get this one reinstalled. All right, we let the carb sit in for an hour. You can see everything is clean now. Looking perfect. Bowl is all cleaned out, looking good. Everything is really clean. Jets are all spotless here. You can see right through it. Same with the pilot. All right, carb's all done. Look how nice that looks compared to what it was. Thing is clean. All right, we've got the carb back on. Before we go attempt to start this thing up, let's check the valve clearances here. So cap here and cap here has to come off. There we go. That cap came off. Just like that. And then there's one here as well. Let's pound down. All right. That one's loose. I think we're at tapped at center right here. Cap here comes off. This one comes off. Trying to strip it out here. Oh boy. Do a little pound on that one. Usually get the corner and just kind of tap it. There, she budge. There we go. Alright, now we can rotate this engine over until we find the T for tapped at center. Dark. Got a 17 millimeter. Doesn't look like we were at tapped at center. Right there is tapped at center. You go back that way, you can see there's two lines, kind of like an H, and there's a single line after it. You want to line up that single line with that little arrow on the case there. So single line is perfectly lined up with that arrow. Come up to the valves, and you want the valves to be completely closed, which means that the gap, the clearance gap, would be moving like that. See, there's free play in there. Alright, so we can tell that the valves are fully closed and these are not tight. So I think we're going to be pretty close to spec here. The intake is going to be 3 to 5 thousandths. Exhaust is going to be 4 to 6. Intake. And that just grabs. That's nice. Perfect. We can do the same for the exhaust. We're going to do 5 thousandths for the exhaust. And that just grabs as well. So valves are perfectly within spec. Clearance is good there. Now before we attempt to start this, I want to make sure that it's firing at the right time. So right now we are at top dead center with the little mark lined up with that arrow on the case here. We want to make sure our timing's spot on. So we can take off this cover here and check the cam sprocket to make sure that lines up properly. Really good design. And here you go. You can see right away that the line here lines up with the notch there. So our timing is spot on. Hopefully you guys can see that line. So everything is good to go. So let's get some gas flow into it. See if that plug holds, and we'll see if she fires up. Tank here. There's nothing inside. Let's see what the petcock looks like here. She looks a little crusty. Let's get that off. Ooh. Yeah. She's a little rough. So let's put that off to the side. Just take it apart. See what it looks like. You can see right in here looks pretty clogged up. Let's just see what we're dealing with. Yeah. Pretty crunchy in there. Lots of stuff coming out. So definitely gonna want to take that apart. We might just throw this in the ultrasonic cleaner too. It's pretty gross. Alright. Got your little spring washer. Ooh, yeah, that looks a little rough. Oh, that broke. Shoot. Yeah, it's really hardened up. All these passageways are clogged. That would have never worked. Look at this one. That's pretty rough. Yeah, that's coming through. This one. I think it's for reserve. Alright, we're going to put this all in the ultrasonic cleaner. Alright, we got the petcock out of the ultrasonic cleaner. Looking nice and clean here. So, this piece acts as a O-ring gasket and a divider. So as you can see, that's completely brittle, it's breaking in half. I don't have another one of these, the correct size. So in a pinch, what you can do is take an O-ring, stick it in here, and that will act as a seal for the gas. So that's what I like to use. The gasket there looks good still. Alright, I think I know why this thing had some issues. Why that plug was white. Look right here on the manifold. That is like a place for a vacuum line. That will cause a serious air leak right there. That will be sucking in air from the manifold. That was not plugged up. So I robbed this from the other bike, but this is a plug for it. That's what was supposed to be there. That goes on like that. And this goes over it to clamp it down. We're gonna find out soon enough. But yeah, I thought it was interesting I was missing that. So now that that's all fixed, we can get our gas line hooked up and get some gas in here. All right, we've got some gas line here. Just gonna go into here. All right, gas line going on. See where this is gonna line up. We might have to kind of loop it around. It's gonna go on like this. All right, it's been a couple hours. I believe that Loctite is pretty dry on there. Let's get our plug on without moving the plug too much. And we're gonna see if we turn this thing over, if it'll fire. Hopefully that plug doesn't come popping out. Alright, so far carb's not leaking. We've got gas to the filter going in. We're going to choke it, and then we're going to get a battery installed here quick. Got positive and negative here. Alright, here we go. Electric start's working, we got the carb cleared out, gas is going to the carb, we've got the plug in, and it's Loctited in the head. Hopefully that doesn't strip out on the first run. And then we've got good spark, and hopefully we have compression. We weren't able to test compression because the spark plug hole was stripped out, but let's see if she fires up here. I'm thinking that plug is not gonna hold. We'll see. Go. Fired up. Go. She just stopped firing, but alright, we're going to try to stick some oil down the carb and try to get it into the cylinder to see if this thing fires back up. I'm thinking it needs that oil for compression, but we can't take out the plug because it's Loctited in right now. So let's try that, and then if that doesn't work, we'll start tearing this thing down. bunch of oil out of the exhaust there. Yeah, I think it's going right by those rings. Alright, since we need to fix that head anyway, let's start tearing it down. Check out what that piston looks like. I'm guessing the rings are completely stuck. Alright, we just got the plug out. That was really in there, so that Loctite really worked well. So, just for testing purposes, I held that plug in there tight. I don't think any compression was leaking out of there at all. So that was good, but let's start tearing this thing down. We gotta get the carb out, the pipe off, and we can start tearing this engine down here. Running. Nice and smooth. I didn't hear any knocking in the bottom end. I was thinking maybe the rod was bad, but no, that seems good. Let's see if there's gas in the carb. Yep, plenty of gas in the carb flowing out. Pipe could be plugged up too. You. It's gonna be 12 millimeter. Now we can get the tensioner off. Hey, that's a new gasket. Maybe it was rebuilt. Doubt it. Tensioner feels good. If it was bad, it'd be springing back in. So this is just gonna wiggle it back and forth a little bit, drop it down. Take that cam sprocket out. There we go. Just let that chain dangle. Get these bolts out. That one's loose. Alright, all the bolts are out. It'd probably be worth just taking the whole engine out instead of trying to mess with those, but we didn't. This is going to be really rusty. This is going to be interesting to see. Do with the bike still on the frame here. Valves don't look too bad. Right now they're open. Definitely could be lapped in. A lot of carbon on there. That piston looks like. Looks like it isn't too bad. Look at how rusty the cylinder is though. Huh. Looks like some pitting on there too. Oh yeah. Look at that cylinder. Look how much rust got in there. Oh yeah. Doesn't look too good. Yeah, rings are pretty stuck. Look at that, that top ring is completely stuck. Huh. And second ring is too. So, look at that. Both of those rings are stuck. The oil ring isn't actually down here, but the other two are completely stuck in there. Looks like a BBR piston. Rod feels pretty good. Little side to side. Zero up and down. That feels really good. Alright, taking a look at the piston. You can see that ring. Top ring is completely stuck. So that's why we weren't getting any compression. And then the second ring. Let's see, where is it? Trying to find the mark. That's completely stuck though. Not compressing at all. These are pretty free. It was the only thing that was free here. I think those are pretty stuck in there. Yeah, I don't think those would have come free. Letting that soak. The rings are really in there. So like I said, I'm guessing there's a bunch of rust in there and the rings were stuck, and that's why it was locked up. So rust was preventing the piston from going up or down. You can see lots of rust in there. So I think water got through the spark plug hole and got inside the cylinder here. Luckily the rod and the crank wasn't damaged. But we've got to fix the head next. Spark plug hole right there. We got a helicoil kit for it. So we're going to try installing one of those. And this kit came with the tool to install and the tap. The helicoil is M10 by 1.5. And you've got the tool here. What we're going to do is drill and tap this out, and then this tool, you can twist this coil in to the spark plug hole and that'll get tight. And they said in order to knock that tip off there, you can pound this with a hammer and it should bend that right off, and it'll break that off in there so that the spark plug will fit. So here's the first one. Drill that out. Alright, we've got our 13 30-second drill bit in here. Let's drill that out. Looks pretty good. through there. By the way, the kit included the tap, the tool, and the helicoils. It was like 60 bucks. We're going to twist that on, just like that. See if it fits. It's going in. Let's see. You want to go half a turn below the surface here. So now, that's what that looks like, and you're left with that little tab on the end there. We're going to take a punch, and they said to take a punch the diameter of that coil, and then just punch it off. One good bang. Well, we got the little tang off. It's looking pretty good right there. And I went to go screw in the new plug, and it's really hard to screw in. I mean, you can do it, but it's really, really tough. And it looks like I ordered the wrong size thread for the helicoil. This is not an M10 by 1.5, it's an M10 by 1. You can see up here, M10 by 1.5. You screw that in, it'll screw in, but it gets really tight. Here's the M10 by 1. So our threads are just a little different. So I ordered up a new kit that's coming from Amazon. We'll have to take this one out, re-tap it, and that should fix our problem. Hopefully we have enough metal to re-tap it and do the fix. But yeah, we messed up big time. I brought this plug into O'Reilly's, and they looked up the plug, and they said that the threads were an M10 by 1.5. That's what they said in the plug. So unfortunately, that information was wrong. I should have just measured it before I left, because I had the tool right here. I should just plug it in here and measured, but you know, what can you do? All right, before we order up a piston for it, I want to see if the cylinder is going to hone out. You can see it's really rusty in there. Just gonna put a little oil on there and then attempt to hone it. See if we can get all that rust off of it. And we don't want to take too much material off because we want the piston to fit correctly. Let's see. I think we got all the rust off. Yeah, it's pretty pitted in there still. I think we're gonna need a new cylinder. Bottom half looks pretty good. Yeah, look at that. See all that pitting in there? That's no good. So unfortunately, I don't think it's gonna hone out. Let's see what size this piston was here. 57.92. So typically that's going to be a 58 millimeter piston. So we'll get a new cylinder, new piston, new gasket kit, and this thing should be good as new. And then we'll obviously do the valve seals too, since we're in there. Well, working on this bike was definitely interesting today. When I first bought this bike, I was told it was running a couple weeks ago. That was all rebuilt really recently. And I got this thing back home. Spark plug was stripped out of it. Carburetor was absolutely horrible. Slide was stuck. Thing was locked up. And we ended up getting this thing freed up and actually running today, which is a small miracle. The rings and the piston were completely stuck. I don't know how this thing had any compression to start at all. So I'm just amazed that this thing even fired up. We got this thing fired up and then we tore it down and found that we have a little work left to do. So we have to order up a new piston for it, new cylinder, get the helicoil for it, and we can put this thing back together and it should be good as new. The bottom end turned out to be good, which I thought for sure when I bought this bike was toast. Thought for sure it would need a full engine rebuild, but it turns out it was just the top end. And I think what happened was rust got into the top end and coated the cylinder so that that piston was locked up in the cylinder. And that's why this engine was stuck. But pretty easy fix. I mean, a top end rebuild on this bike goes for probably about 60 bucks. These bikes go for right around like $1,200 to $1,300 in good running condition with all the plastics and graphics on it. So we got this one for 200 bucks. We'll put a couple $100 into it and it will be worth quite a bit. So it's definitely worth doing in my opinion. We still have the bike out here left to do. So I'm hoping to get to this one next video and see what's going on with this one too. Unfortunately, this video is getting too long, so we'll have to wait for next video. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Stay tuned for next one. And until next time, we are out.